Hey guys, welcome to the garage. Today we're going to be unboxing, putting this thing together, and taking this thing on a ride. This is the Cyrusher. This one is called the Rover 26-inch big bike, and we're going to see how this thing does. Got my little boy Taika here to help me out. You going to help?
Yeah.
Thumbs up. All right. Anyway, guys, let's get started. Let's get this thing put together and get out on the trail and just really see how the Cyrusher Rover does. I'm kind of excited. I think I got the green color here. Let's get into it and give it a thorough review. Alright guys, just opened the cover and extremely well packed. I mean, look at this. You don't normally see this kind of packing. It's very well done. Everything looks like it's well protected. Looking at a nice seat. We got our front tire separated. Looks like everything is pretty much put together. Yeah, look at that. So the clamp, oh my gosh, look at that color. It looks beautiful. That's like a metallic green. I think I'm gonna love the color of this. And look at that top clamp here. It's all put together. It looks like it's gonna be minimal assembly. Just put the front tire on, put our handlebars on, and we're probably ready to go. Let's get the rest of this thing unboxed. Okay guys, so this has got some heft to it. I usually just kind of cut the box open, but I decided to lift this one out. And it is pretty heavy. I mean, you're talking 70, 80 pounds. It does have a little box here. This is accessories and toolkit. Let's just see what's in here real quick before we delve into the bike. Here's our owner's manual. We have a Allen wrench tool, a toolkit in here with wrenches and stuff. We'll break into that in a second. We got our pedals, headlight, a little thumb bell. So unfortunately, it's just kind of like the analog type of bell here. I like to see those electronic horns nowadays. A little reflector for the back, but I am seeing a rear suspension on this sucker. So we have full suspension. I'm stoked. Looks like a little bit of hardware here to probably put on some things like the light and stuff, and 2 mirrors. That's cool. So I got a couple of extras here, 2 mirrors in there. This is just gonna be the charger. Yeah, this guy's just gonna be your standard wall charger with your wall plugs. So anyway, just wanted to show you that real quick before we start putting together the bike. Also came with this cool little foot pump. So you don't normally see a pump this size with these. That's great. So foot pumps are always, you know, welcome. And this one is specifically just mainly for your foot. So you just put it down, step on it, and then you're gonna pump up your tires. So that's kind of cool they included this. Oh man, look at this beautiful paint job. Man, this one looks like it's gonna be pretty fun. So there's our rear shock assembly. Looks pretty cool. It's kind of like a lateral shock. And there's our linkage here. They got everything wrapped really nicely to protect the finish, you know, of your bike you just bought. So I am liking that. A little bit extra detail you don't normally see. Awesome. Even the main part of the battery part of the frame is wrapped really well with this plastic wrap here. Man, look at that thing. It just looks beautiful. Oh, wait a minute. I'm seeing integrated rear lights here on the back where the wheel mounts up. That's kind of cool. I wonder if we'll see these things lighting up. It looks like that's probably what they do. That's like where the brake lights are at. I have not seen that before. That's a really cool feature there. Okay, here we go. The gooseneck, and typical, we just want to unscrew these, get our handlebars sitting up like this, and get our wheel on. All right guys, so we're just gonna leave this kind of clamp up here loose and everything up in here sort of loose just until we get the tires on, just like any other bike. Looking good, so minimal amount of assembly. What I like to do is flip the bike over, and so it's easier to put on that front tire. So I'm gonna try to put some padding down. You wanna guard your handlebars, probably move the seat up just a little bit so that we can have a good tripod for when we flip this thing over. No, 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 guys. Oh no. Another one where it's missing a quick release axle. I thought it might be in this accessory box with these tools, but there's nothing in here, man. Shucks. Oh, It's actually not a quick release. I was looking for a quick release axle, but it's actually this little bag here. This little bag is actually the axle nuts. So something completely different than what I've seen before. You see how this is working? 2 screws go in and lock the wheel in from each side. I would have liked to see a quick release axle, you know, with that spring load and everything, but this is what they're giving us to lock our axle in. 2 Allen head screws. Interesting, huh? So anyway, let's give this a try and see if it works. All right, guys, let's give this a whirl. So we're gonna need to cut this. Okay, I do like how they have this zip tied here. This is kind of a brake spacer for your disc brake, so you don't accidentally squeeze your brakes and have a hard time getting your wheel on. So see, that's the spacer that a lot of these bikes are missing. So I'm glad they zip tied that in there. And let's just get this wheel up. So we want our disc to be on the right side. We're gonna slide it right in the brake, and then we're just dropping those 2 guys down in there, nice and smooth. And remember, we have really, I've never seen this before, but maybe it'll work, we'll see. So these are just kind of screwing into the inside of the axle. Very interesting. And these guys are actually locking. So do you see the ridges on the outside? I think for good measure, I'm gonna put some blue Loctite on these, because unfortunately I don't see any drop washer like those hook washers that bikes do come with. So I'm just gonna, just for good measure, I'm just gonna put a little bit of blue Loctite on these axle bolt, because, you know, it is the axle. And if this thing comes loose when you're riding, that would be devastating. So just a little dab of Loctite on each one. Get this in the other side. So I'm not sure why they did this. It looks like you could put a quick release axle in here if you had one, or you know, you wanted to get one separate. We're just gonna take our wrench here it comes with, make sure that's pushed all the way down, and give it a good tightening. Wow, that's kind of interesting. It wants to actually slide up a little. It wants to actually pull itself up a little when you make these tight. Very interesting. Anyway, that's the axle screws. That's how they're working. We get those really tight. Do not want those to be dropping off when we are riding, especially in some trails and stuff. And let's do a spin test on that wheel. Minimal rub on that front brake, that's great. And it looks like that's spinning really good. So I love these fat tire bikes because they have so much more padding with that big tire. It's just like an extra buffer between the bumps. All right, guys, tire phase complete. Now I just need to center my gooseneck and get everything tight up in the front here and make sure my handlebars are twisted kind of how I want them and everything. So this is where you're gonna want to sit down on the bike and just get everything tightened up to your liking. Then we can move these clamps, and then we just want to get these guys tighten down when our handlebars are centered on our tire. Feels good, man. Standing up, I want my brake levers to be pointing down a little bit for when I'm standing up. This is interesting. They got some pretty good rubber on these guys. When I'm standing up, I want to have a good reach down on them. Feels great. So these shocks, guys, these are just basically lock and open. That's all you can do with these. We can lock them when they're all the way up, so we have no shockability. Say just if you're riding on a road, you'll probably get a little easier of a time if you're just on a flat road. But if you want these things to work, is flip this over to the left, and that gets your shocks into play. On the left-hand side, all we have is a preload. So if you're a heavier rider or you're doing some harder stuff, twist it clockwise. I'm a little of over 200 pounds, so I'm gonna wanna twist this probably almost all the way for my weight. There we go, and it will just stop. Cool. Then you can always adjust this on the trail. I am really digging the Logan. Remember, this has hydraulic disc brakes, and these are pretty good. I've seen these Logans on other bikes and they work pretty darn well. So now we just got to put this front light on, guys. It's gonna be fairly easy. We're just gonna plug in right here. Okay, guys, this is where we're gonna be putting on our light. If you do have fenders as well, looks like mine didn't come with fenders, but maybe that's an option you can get. This is where the fenders would attach as well. So real simple. You just have like this bolt, already has Loctite. That's great. I wish all the bolts had Loctite. And just putting this on the front, putting our bolt through. I haven't come across anything that I had to put together they didn't have the tool in the box for. So they had all the tools so far for everything, right? Putting the tire on, tightening all of the handlebars and gooseneck, and now the fender light area is, seems like it's all accounted for all the tools. So that's always a bonus if you don't have any tools, or, you know, I always like to see just enough tools to get the thing like put together so you can ride it, that they include in the box. Good job, buddy. Thanks for helping me clean up. Now you can play with these ones, make a house or something. So we're just gonna tighten this sucker down pretty darn tight so it doesn't move. There we go. And at least we can still adjust this up and down. All we're doing here is you can only plug this in one way, like a one-way notch. There we go. So that should be it. Light is on good. All right guys, so we want to get into the controls and our first power up. So this one has the throttle, thumb throttle on the left. Again, love these simple grips, but super grippy. You know, nothing luxurious about this, but that's kind of what you want to have for like just mainly like a trail bike, all-terrain type of bike. And I'm seeing a little bit of film on that screen. I'm gonna go ahead and just take that off so I have best visibility. And let's just do our first power on. So holding the power button, immediately powering up. And we looks like we almost have a full charge, so that's great. And I like to see this. There's 0.4 miles already on the speedometer. That's the trip it's showing. Let's see if we go info. Okay, so they did like there's 0 miles on, there's not even 1 mile on the odometer yet, but they did do a quick little trip of 0.4 miles, and that was probably just to run the motor to make sure it works. And I like to see that. Let's just hit it up for our power assist 5. Let's spin that tire with our throttle, so pushing throttle fully. Awesome. So they must have done this at the factory just to make sure that everything was okay with the motor, because some motors are defective and they have weird noises I've seen from some other manufacturers, and I like to see them testing these. So we're maxing out, guys, at 20 miles per hour just about. So I want to see if we can possibly take off this speed limiter to make it maybe a class 3 bike. Right now it's a class 2. And let's see how these brakes are working. So just pull in the... Awesome. And look at that, man. That is awesome. Yeah, so it's kind of what I thought. Look at this, guys. We have tail lights on the freaking swing arm. That's awesome. Look at this. I am loving that. So taillights on the swing arm. I have not seen that before, and they are working great. Let's see what happens when we turn the headlights on. I'm just gonna press this button for headlights. I can see my bright headlight there shining on the box over there. We'll have to have a night trial on that. And these guys are staying on at a lower light. That's great when you have your headlights on. Let's see what happens when I pull the brakes. They come on brighter. Awesome. So steady glow at night and coming on when we hit the brakes. You can't ask for more than that. Just a single press to turn off the lights. Let's see, this thing does have a walk mode as well. If you wanted to just walk with your bike and like help you up a hill or something. Let's see if that works, if we just hold it down. Yep. So there's our couple mile per hour walk mode, working great. So I am excited, guys. I am ready to ride this. I'm gonna go ahead and charge this battery up. And speaking of the battery, this is a little port here where we can plug in our charger if we wanna leave the battery on the bike. Let's go ahead and take off the battery. We got a set of keys right here on the handlebars, just clipped in, zip tied to the wires here. I'm gonna take these off. And let's see how easy it is to kind of take the battery out. So putting the keys right here, opening it, and on the underside, this one has one of those kind of latches you have to push for it to actually drop out. Holy cow, that battery feels super heavy. And look at that slot. So that's the slot it's going in. It's just gonna go on the bottom first. This battery is heavy, man. Let's see what this is. There's our little charge port that we can access when it's on the bike and off the bike. So if you wanna take this thing somewhere, go ahead and take it wherever you want. There's a little power button on top so we can check our charge. That is green for fully charged, it looks like, or almost fully charged. Let's see what this thing is, man. This is almost a kilowatt hour. This is 811 watt hours. So almost 1 kilowatt hour, 52 volts. 15.6 AH, and the max charging current is 5 amps. That thing is not light. I'm like struggling just holding it up. Awesome. So I'm gonna throw this thing on the charger they gave us in the box. It's probably not gonna take much charge at all because it is almost fully charged on that readout. Okay guys, just using the charger to plug right in. Green when it's charged or not plugged in. And let's just plug in here, see what happens. Plugging in and immediately turns red. So I'm gonna leave that in until this guy turns green so we know we're fully charged. Okay guys, final 2 things I need to do while the battery's charging. I wanna put this bell on because if I go on trails and stuff and you know people hiking and stuff can't hear me, it would be nice to have a little bell or a horn. Unfortunately, since the throttle's on the left side and this is only a one-way bell, I guess I could put it on this side, but then I have to pull down, but I wanna be able to push up. I don't know. Kind of wonky. It would have really been just better if they just included like a button for an electronic horn, like a lot of bikes do now. So this is a little bit of a con here, just finding room for this bell to be able to actually use it efficiently. Let's see, if I put it on this side, I'm gonna have to reach way over here take my hand. I don't want to do that, take my hand off. Only way I can do it here is put it upside down. So let's try that. Let's see if it actually clicks. Okay, I guess that'll work because there's really no other place to put it. And since my throttle's on my left, I'm going to be using that a lot. I'm going to put the bell upside down on the right-hand side. That shouldn't be too much trouble. As long as it doesn't get in the way of my legs and stuff. I don't think it should. Yeah, so that'll work good. I can use all my controls here, my shifting, my brake lever, and then there's our bell there. So that should work okay. Like I said, I haven't had to use any other tools. They give you all the tools in the entire kit to do anything you need to do. So far so good on that. All I need to do now while we're still charging that battery is pump up the tires, and let's try that pump they give us in the box out. Speaking of the tires, big old 26.4.0 inch tires. What's our pressure? 5 to 30 PSI. So I'm just gonna go ahead and probably put them up to 30 or maybe 25. Let's see if this pump's any good. It does have a gauge on there. We'll see how accurate that gauge is. Just basically your lever clamp. Looks like it already had almost 20 PSI in the pump. So let's see, I'm just gonna hold it down with my left foot and then use my right foot to go ahead and pump. Oh, it's not bad. It's not very stable. It's kind of wonky going left and right, but it's doing the job. Yeah, not entirely awesome, but at least it's something. I'd rather just use my digital pump. To use this pump I got from Costco or something. I forget where I got this, but I'll have in the description, guys. It's the Fantic S100 Apex pump. And you can just set what PSI you want it to stop at. And then you just screw on. It'll tell you what it's currently at. So it's currently at 22. So this pump was actually pretty accurate. I mean, I saw it going a little bit past 20, and this is reading 22, so I think 25 will be fine. Okay guys, we are ready to go. This is a honking battery, so be careful. I already dropped it on the floor. It's heavy. So I was trying to take it out and charge it, and I already dropped it. So be careful with this heavy battery. And one thing I'm noticing right now, which I also already dropped, is the kickstand is way too short for this bike. Once you pump up the tires, it's just like barely teetering right now with even the battery not in there. So they need a longer kickstand or an adjustable one, but definitely a negative right off the bat. So let's get this battery in real quick. We're gonna need to come up here, get the bottom in, get it sitting in there, and then just pop it in. And then, so remember, this lever up here is just to do the secondary release. And yeah, so we want to turn that key all the way clockwise and pull it out. So battery in, we're ready to ride, guys. That just took a few hours to top off that battery. It was actually almost charged. But look at that kickstand. It is so short that the bike with the battery in will not stay up. So that's a bit of a negative. I mean, yeah, it's just like, it's ridiculous. You're gonna have to put some extension on it or put a rock under it when you want to stand it up on a trail or something. So just the little things, you know, that they could just do one last step and it would be perfect. But that kickstand is kind of annoying. Before we go for a ride, let's just take a look at this thing just so you can kind of see it in all of its put together glory. It is a really nice bike. You know, the color combo, of course they have it in different colors, but it does really have that look to it that's just, it makes you just want to have it. You know, it's funny I should say that, but it really is a nice looking bike here, and that battery is just Mac Daddy. So I have a feeling this is going to be one of the ones that I'm going to be definitely keeping after I review it. So let's take it for a ride though and see how it does, see if there's any issues with it. All right guys, I'm using the DJI Flip to film this bike ride. So if you're interested in this drone and you like how it performs, go ahead and check it out. All right, first ride. So just turning this bad boy on. We have full power. Let's go right into Power Assist 5 and let's give it some throttle. Man, this sucker, it's got some instant power. Nice. Nice. Look at those shocks. Woo! I have a feeling I'm gonna like this bike. So let's get down the driveway here. Let's just go down the gravel. It feels pretty dang stable. Make sure the brakes are all working good. Rear brake, yep. Front brake, excellent. Remember, I got the tires pumped up to about 25 PSI. Oh, feeling nice so far. Let's just give it a full throttle here and just kind of feel the throttle first. Wow, nice. So definitely one of the more powerful bikes that I have ridden. We'll spin down the road here. So let's do some shifting. I always like to make sure all the shifting's working good. So remember, let's turn off the power assist, just hit negative here all the way to 0 so we can test this shifting. Man, the cockpit here just feels super open and nice. So really good so far. So first gear, let's go to second. Nice solid shift. Third, good. Fourth, good. I'm not hearing any clinking or clanking or getting off the rails on the shifting mechanism. That's fifth. Sixth, instant shift right when I click it and it's staying in there solid. Nice. Let's just pump it in seventh gear for a second. No power assist. Feeling great. And then let's just do a quick downshift. And I'm gonna hold the front brake a little to give me some tension while I downshift down this hill. Third. And down to first. So between third and first, it looks like it didn't really want to shift that great. Let's go back down. So third. Yeah, it's like not shifting into second for a while, but then it shifts into second and then first. All right, so maybe a little bit of tweaking you can do with that derailleur. Overall, feeling good though. So I could even pull my seat up a little bit for pedaling, but this is a power assist bike, remember? Let's just do a little bit of, feel how the control is on the road here. Just a little bit of swerving. Wow, this thing feels great. Really. Nothing's binding. I'm gonna slam on the brakes right here. Full brakes. Very good. And let's pump up the power assist. Remember this thing, I think I did a brake stand on it. So right here, I'm gonna do a full throttle run, guys, on just the power assist 5 to see how fast it gets us going around this corner. So just throttle all the way. Great torque, instant throttle, but we're maxing out at 19.6. And just to let you guys know, there is a way you can take off the limiter, but the limiter was already removed for the US. In other countries, they have this plug in the gearbox that you just unplug. So I'm only able to hit like 19.6. I did ask these guys if there was any other way I could speed it up, but that's about it. This is the maximum, but that's okay. You know what? I'm okay with a little bit of not going super fast if I have good torque. And this motor is just instant good torque. It does feel like a real 1,000-watt motor. All right, guys. So just giving it a little bit of power assist here on the pedaling. And I just want to kind of feel how it kicks on while we're pedaling. Wait till we get around this corner and you're going up this hill. But you can see the stance on the bike. It's really aggressive. I mean, gosh, I am really anxious to get in those trails, man. It's gonna be fun. We got to do the road test first. So power assist 5, starting the pedal, and yeah, so it's kicking in there. It's very subtle. Wow, it actually has a sensor that is actually sensing how hard I'm pedaling, guys. If I really crank it, that motor's kicking on hard. That's awesome. So really stoked about that. So remember, pedal assist 1 through 5 is just the button over here on the left. So you can have as much assistance or as little assistance. That's what's great about these bikes. You know, you still want to get some exercise, just turn that assistance down. We're starting to go up a hill a little bit here. I want more assistance. I'm hitting 2, making it a little bit easier to pedal. And I'm tired of pedaling. I just want either to pedal and have the highest assistance. I'm at 5 now and it's super easy to pedal, or I don't want to pedal at all. Let's just crank it. Let's go for it. Woo! So even though the speed limit is not super fast, that torque is great, and I think that's going to be awesome in the trails, man. Yeah, that's enough for me on the road, guys. The suspension feels great, a little bit springy. You know, I may want to turn down that front shock a little bit on the compression, or the preload, I should say. It's not compression. They call it preload on that left shock. But we're gonna see in the trails first. I mean, if I am hitting rocks and ledges and it's springing back too hard and making sounds, I will adjust that. And that's great that you have the ability to adjust it. But yeah, it's feeling really good. So I'm gonna speed home here. You know what, before I go on that trail, I wanna try my gravel driveway. Let's head up the driveway here. I always love to see how powerful, because this driveway is like a 10%, and this is fine. I'm just using throttle, not pedaling. This thing is pulling my 200 and plus pounds, no problem. Awesome. Let's hit the trails, guys. Just that kickstand, look at this. I can't even, it doesn't even hold it up. You gotta find like a hill. Let's try to find a hill right here. There, and it's just barely teetering. Look at this. If I pull it or some wind hits it, it's gonna fall down. So be really careful if you get this short kickstand. Okay guys, see what I'm saying? Like, you gotta find like a rock like this to put the kickstand down. Otherwise it's just kind of useless. All right, let's go. We're gonna do just throttle. This help us start. Man, that's got a lot of torque, dude. That is awesome. Let's get going here. See if this drone can avoid these trees. All right, once we get a little bit more open, I'll open it up. But I mean, look at this. Yeah, that torque is great. I can just kind of go wherever. Not have to worry about a slight uphill. That's awesome, man. So I'm gonna stand up here, let you guys see the suspension a little. And shocks are feeling great. Listening for noise and stuff. Yeah, so when it extends it, this front shock, you get that clangy clang, which I hate. You could soften them a little bit to so they don't push out as hard when you're going over stuff. All right, let's get onto the main trail here and let's book it. See how this thing does. Yeah. Just has so much torque. The suspension's working really great. No noise, just that front shock. Minimal shaking. Fantastic, man. I think this is gonna be a keeper for me. I usually review bikes and then, yeah, so as I'm going over a rock here, just that bottom out of that shock pushing back when you roll over a ledge is pretty harsh. So I'm gonna stop here and fix the preload real quick. And all I'm doing is I'm gonna loosen this left shock, see if that's any better for that backlash. Should be a little better. Yeah, just a little drop over a root there and don't feel it as bad. So the preload, guys, it's just basically tensioning the spring more or less. So you could bottom out a little more, but I'd rather bottom out once in a while than have that like harsh extension bottoming out. Whoa, feeling good in the rocks, man. And that torque is just great. So you need to get over a rock and then hit it hard with your throttle. As you can see, I'm not even pedaling, guys. But ride this thing like a motorcycle if you want. And remember, this battery is giganto, so I don't anticipate any issue, you know, with battery. Let's get up here. Oh, nice. You can almost wheelie it. Wow. Your little compression on that front fork, and then you just throttle it and pull back a little. It does actually hop over obstacles. Nice. All right, I'm gonna turn around right here. Nice. Let's get back home, guys. So many bikes like this have lackluster torque, and this has great torque. So far, so good on the torque area. Remember, it's just that top speed. But if you're okay with around 20, you're gonna be all right. I'm okay with it because it has so much torque And the bike seems like it's in such a good quality so far, except for that kickstand, that honestly I'm okay with not having a crazy top speed. Okay, hearing a little chain rattle. To be expected over harsh rocks. Just a little bit though. Man, I'm loving this throttle response though. Oh, I thought I just heard my drone crash. You following me, drone? Come on now. This drone, what it does, guys, is it has front obstacle detection, so it just stops if it senses something, and then it just goes again. So at least it's not crashing this time. This is unbelievable. Get up this little rock. Nice. So it doesn't have really the power to wheelie over stuff, so you still have to use your compress your front forks and all that stuff to get up and over stuff if you really want to have a little power wheelie. But like I said, much better than others. Hydraulic brakes feel absolutely awesome. Oh, nice, man. Yeah, I think this is, whoa, sorry, buddy. The guy was cool. It's always sketchy when you got a drone. Anyway, what else? There's a couple things I was saying. That compression, you're gonna have to do compression hops because the torque isn't that insane, because it isn't like 1,000 watt, right? And also what I was saying way back there, which I dropped off the subject, was the sensor for your pedaling is fantastic. It kicks on a split second after you start pedaling, but it senses how hard you are pedaling, like I was saying. And it just gives you more. Let's go over here. So, you know, crazy, weird stuff like that, it just soaks it up with these shocks. So for the budget, so far I am lacking it. Man, loads of fun. Let's go all the way down to the cul-de-sac here. Woo! Oh. Didn't really jump that, but I kind of wanted to. Yeah, the brakes are just flawless. So coming home up this driveway with a lot of bikes, they just barely move. Even if they're like 750 to 1,000 watt. So this motor is spec'd perfectly because it's peaking at, it seems like possibly over 1,000 watts for my weight and how heavy this bike is with the battery. Awesome. Hey guys, what a fantastic ride. What can we say for a final pros and cons on the Cyrusher Rover? First thing that stands out, I mean, as far as lighting goes, that rear swing arm brake light is awesome. It lights up when you have the front lights on, and it also has brake input, and I think that is a great idea. I haven't seen any other bike company do that yet that I've reviewed, so that's really cool. Speaking of lights, I will have a short clip of how the lights look at night. I'm going to go ahead and take this thing out, and I'll have that just kind of pop in, a video of how this front light looks and how it's performing in a night ride around my neighborhood here, just so you get a view of how, you know, wide the beam is and how bright it is, because some of these bikes, they're great, but some of them have like a really crappy headlight and you can't even see anything. So I'll have thrown that little clip in of the headlight for you. All right, so pros and cons. A great seat. My butt did not get sore, mainly because I was standing up, but the seat is a really nice padding and it's really breathable since it has that central vent right here down the middle. It seems to be doing very well. And what first stands out with the bike is it's really good looking. Okay, so if you like that, I mean, you've got multiple colors to choose from. I really like the layout of the frame. The shock is interesting. You don't normally see many shocks that are going parallel with the front bar here, but this one is. A lot of them are usually like up like this, perpendicular, but it seems to work fine. I had no issues with the rear shock. Front shocks, like I was saying, they just do that kind of like when you're going over a rock or a ledge, like from a root or something, and it's rebounding back down. That bottom out whack is a little harsh, but that's it. Everything else felt great. And like I was saying, you can adjust the preload and lessen that if you want. And I lessened it a little bit on the trail, and it seemed to help a little bit. And I still wasn't bottoming out the shock. It didn't feel like. And I was going all the way up to here. So it has a pretty good amount of travel. I mean, that's a good 1, 2, 3, 4 inches of front shock travel. I'm not seeing any crazy leakage at all, just a little bit of residue. I usually see really bad grease and oil coming out of shocks when I do this kind of test, but this one looks fine. One thing I didn't really like is that those bolts in the front, remember, to hold the axle on the forks. I would have liked to see just them throw in one of those quick release bars with the lever on it. Not sure why they didn't do that. Seemed to work fine. I mean, like I said, I'm around just over 200 pounds, and for my weight, this was great. And make sure you guys get the rear shock for your weight, okay? This one here, it's saying a 950 pound. I'm not sure if I went through this in the setup, but I had another bike I just recently reviewed, and it was only a 650 pound, and this thing was bottoming out all the time in that bike. So this one seemed to be much better. So get the rear shock if it's not adjustable. This one doesn't look adjustable at all. Neither was the other one. Make sure you get the right poundage for your body weight, so you can check the website on that. Tires perform flawlessly. That 25 pounds in there seemed to be perfect. And the thing about fat tires like this is they themselves absorb a lot more rocks and bumps than your regular like 2-inch tires. So that included with front and rear shocks just makes that ride really plush. So I'd recommend, guys, if you can spend a few $100 more and just get the rear shock version on your bike, whatever bike you're getting, just do it, because it makes a world of difference. Gearing setup and everything was perfect. I mean, this bell, a little bit cheesy, but it does work. If you're on a trail and you need to, notify people that are hiking or something and you're behind them, or you're coming around a blind corner, that is a good indicator. So you guys all should have at least a bell or an electronic horn. I would have liked to see an electronic horn, but the bell seems to be working fine. And I kind of honestly like the left-hand throttle. You normally see it on the right hand or a partial twist throttle. And I'm thinking that I like the left-hand throttle because you're mainly pulling your rear brake, and that's the right-hand brake on here. And if you're throttling here or you're throttling with your thumb here and you need to pull that rear brake, it's harder. So I'm really liking this kind of new idea of putting it on the left side, because your left hand is switching your power assist and turning on and off your lights, and your front brake, which you don't use as much as the rear brake. And so having your hand opened up for just the throttle on here and hanging on is a great idea, I think. So I really do like the throttle on the left, especially for trails. I've had some hairy situations where I was throttling and trying to use the brake on the right hand side, and it just felt a little like I wasn't really holding on good. So I really like that idea. Display is fine. I mean, a little bit small, but it is color, it is bright. I can see it here. I'm not sure how it's showing up on the camera, but I can see it even with my polarized glasses on my face. This screen is super bright and colorful, so I'm liking that. Again, what I was saying, guys, is the battery is quite heavy, so be careful removing it and putting it in. Like I said, I dropped it and I scratched the front a little bit when I was in the garage, but everything just works except the kickstand, right? So you're getting a good price on a bike like this and a great high capacity battery and all the shocks and stuff, but there's always little things that fall off the plate, right? And it seems like the kickstand is one of them for this bike. It's just way too short for the bike. Gotta find a rock or a hill, which isn't a huge deal, especially if you're out, on a trail. But if you're like in the city and all you have is flat pavement or roads and you want to put your kickstand down, I could see how that would be a problem, just having too short of a kickstand. So, I mean, you could glue like a block on the bottom of it or something, or just get a new kickstand altogether. I might complain to Cyrusher about that, just so customers that do buy this aren't disappointed with how short that kickstand is, and maybe they can fix it. Anyway, guys, minimal complaints on the Rover. This is definitely a bike that I am going to keep for the trails around here. I usually just use it for the review, and if it's like, mediocre or whatever, I usually just like give it away or sell it for cheap or something. But I think this is going to be a keeper for me. Really liking this one. I went riding a little bit more, guys, on the trail, and we have a total mileage of 10. And you can see I'm just missing 1 bar on the battery. So 10 times 5, right? So 50 miles. Of course, when the battery gets really low, it's not going to be as powerful. So I would say right around 40 miles, 40 to 50. And I was mainly using the throttle, remember? So this thing was just cranking on the throttle. So that's definitely promising how far you can go on this bike. So it looks like it is pretty true to its mileage. And that's all going to depend too on how much you're using the throttle, how much you're pedaling, and how much of the power assist levels you are using throughout your trek. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed that review of the Cyrusher Rover. I had super fun doing it. And remember, if you like the footage you saw from this DJI flip drone, I do a lot of drone reviews on my channel as well. Go ahead and check this one out. I'll have that in the description, and also where you can get the Rover and Cyrusher's other bikes. They said they would give me a discount, so if you wanted to use my discount code, go ahead and check out the description. Use that code if you want to get this bike, and you will get a percentage off from buying it through my code. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. I had a blast riding this with you, and I'll see you in the next one. Lots more to come. Good job, buddy. You helping? Yeah, let's clean up all this rubbish and put it in a box, okay? Thank you. Thanks, bud.